When I started to think about this speech, which was probably yesterday, I was going to do it entirely in Spanish. And we've already seen that Tony made a fantastic job of the little paragraph that he had. As I expected, an educated and very cosmopolitan audience. However, when I got a look at the lads that were on the stag do, I decided that I'll just better stick to it. On that note, it's nice to see the Alec boys here. I expected you to turn up tomorrow, moan about how much everything costs, then drink as much as you could in the first 2 hours, and go to bed, never to be seen again. Now, before I get to Tony, I would just like to allay the fears of some of the guests who have approached me today. None of the meat on the menu has been sourced from Ponteland and Newcastle. Tony and I have grown up together. Some of you may notice that I've done considerably more growing. Ponies and Pony Club started a 30-year friendship where Tony starred on a little pony called Val. Tony Simon, his brother, and I were in the junior triathlon team together, which involves swimming, shooting, riding and running. The running and riding were not a problem, as Tony excelled at both of them. However, the other two disciplines meant that he couldn't pursue his dream choice of a career. His swimming at best resembled a dying epileptic turtle, and he could not hit a barn door in the shooting. So that ruled him out of becoming a suave international James Bond-esque spy. I think we should probably gloss over his academic life. So far as to say that from over 10 years of private education at Moden and Loreto, all he really learned was how to play rugby. Money well spent that evening. After school came more horsey action as he headed off to Ireland to become a jockey with the infamous John Joe O'Neill and Tommy Stack. And he later came back to the northeast with Ridley Lamb. Often at university, I would get out of bed really early, about 11 or 12 o'clock, buy the journal to look at which local track Mr. A. Manners, claiming a few pounds, I seem to remember, would be riding, only to see that the horse's form contained more letters than numbers. Injury from a nasty fall ended his pursuit of the champion jockey title, and he had to leave that to another Tony, namely Mr. McCall, when he retired. So, from life showing off ponies, Tony decided to become a show pony. Fast cars, gadgets, clothes, beauty products became a very important part of his life. And I can guarantee that we'll have more bottles on their dressing room table than Jayne does. On one trip away, he was rubbing what looked like salad cream into his flaxen mane. When I inquired as to what it was, it came back with a terse remark that it was pomenade, of course, which I thought was fizzy apple juice. Tony will tell you that I'm only jealous because the only hair that seems to be unruly on my body now is my eyebrow. Tony's footwear and clothing have been a great cause of mirth over the years. His inability to wear a sock, are just his style. So it was with a little trepidation that I went to Jules B in Jesmond to decide what suit and style we were to have today. I had visions of us standing here in a white linen, with penny loafers, and shirts unbuttoned to the navel. Looking like an extra from Miami Vice. But I think you all agree that he chose very well, and he certainly looked very smart himself.
Yes, very.
How much of that is down to him, and how much of it is down to Jayne, who was also there, only he knows. But I was lucky we got a very good deal. They were able to make Tony's suit out of my offcuts. Having a few beers last night in Sinatra's, in the port at Banús, reminded me of the story when Tony's cool exterior was definitely dented. After a day on the family's boat, we decided to call in to the aforementioned Sinatra's for a beer. A couple of the lads here were with us. And Tony thought it would be a good idea not to use the berth that the family had owned for years and was only a full 200 yards away from Sinatra's. He was going to park the boat, or is it Moor? Sorry. Right outside the pub, where the pleasure cruisers leave from. After about half an hour, of course, the pleasure cruiser arrived back and wanted to be back where it should be. So Tony sauntered over to move the boat, sunglasses on, white linen trousers and shirt. And as he reached to untie the rope to get hold of, he got hold of the wrong end. Which was not attached to anything. For a split second, he did that worrying sort of look back towards you as he was suspended mid-air before plunging straight into the dirty, oily water of the port in between the boat and the harbour. We all rushed to his assistance after about 5 minutes of laughing to be greeted by what can only be described as a drowned rat, filthy, climbing up into the harbour in front of a full bar of onlookers and a boat of tourists. Needless to say, his cocky demeanour was absent as he finally moved the boat off the back to where it belonged. As we've already heard, Tony met Jayne on a, well, I didn't realise, I thought it was a blind date, I didn't realise he just met her in a car. Set up by friends and family. They quickly became an item. But the road to today has not been altogether plain sailing. But it should stand them in good stead, hopefully, for the future and their lives together. They are both very fortunate now to be living with the love of their lives. However, that's not each other. That's a little brown and white spaniel. Come on. But I'd like you to all be upstanding, please.
Good,